Welcome to episode 703 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther. And this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games.
Although not games this week. We've got some fun stories, but none in the gaming department. So
yeah, I'm not going to miss it though.
No, you won't. So this week we've got finally the actual reveal of all of these genre-specific plans that YouTube TV has been promising and teasing us about. Spotify has a really cool new feature for getting more information about songs and artists you love. And YouTube Music, this is our bad news story of the year. They're putting more features behind paywalls. Not of the year, of this episode. Although I would love it if this was the bad news story of the year, because that would mean that this year ended up being a really great year. So before we jump into all of the news, we would normally start sharing some listener feedback, but we don't have any this week. So if you'd like to send us some, our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com, and all the rest of our contact information will be at the end of the show and in our show notes over at www.thedigitalmediazone.com. So Richard, why don't you kick us off with the first news story of the week?
Yeah, that makes sense since I actually have YouTube TV. So as you alluded, we've known that YouTube TV would be coming out with some additional plans. We didn't know what that necessarily would look like. And now, thanks to a formal announcement and a blog post by Google, we do, in fact, have some more information. As a baseline reminder, today, YouTube TV is pretty expensive. It's about $83 a month, and that gets you over 130 channels, roughly 130, 140 channels. And the idea with these plans is that it will be different groupings or subsets or bundles, if you will, of channels that you could choose from rather than getting the everything plan, which is what YouTube TV has been for a while. It's really almost everything, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So the new plans, we're expecting as many as 10, maybe even more, but for now they've announced 4 of those. And these are pretty much what I would expect. There's one that's focused on sports. It's going to be $65 a month. And all of these are discounted a bit for new users. So if you're new to the YouTube TV environment and subscribe starting now, then you would be able to get a discount on these. For this one, that's $10 off, which is kind of nice. And this includes the major broadcasters, ESPN and NBC Sports, stuff like that. Then they have sports and news. So the stuff we just talked about, plus CNBC, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, Bloomberg, all that sort of stuff. Then there's an entertainment. Oh, I should mention the cost. That's $72 a month. Then there's an entertainment plan, which is $55 a month. And this includes the broadcasters, stuff like FX, Comedy Central, Bravo, Food Network, HGTV, that kind of stuff. And then there's the news and entertainment and family, which includes the news and entertainment stuff that we just talked about, plus Disney, Nick, Nat Geo, things like that. And that is $70 a month. All of these, of course, are a penny less, but that just gets ridiculous to say all those nines. Now, what's interesting is that this is fairly complicated. And as best I can tell, I haven't been able to find anything from Google that does a direct columnar or matrix comparison of what channels are in each of the specific plans. And yes, we get a general idea of what these are based on what they've announced, but I haven't been able to find anything that shows the very specific thing that you might look at, say, with a cable provider to choose which of the plans that you want from them. Have you had any luck finding anything like that, Josh?
No, but I wonder if it's coming. Like it's a little bit more like the marketing sort of approach, right? And maybe the the full finalized marketing for getting all of this information out there is still in the works, or maybe it's intentional.
Well, and I'm not going to make a decision on changing a plan unless I know very specifically what I am and am not going to get. Things that we don't see in here are like BBC. They don't mention BBC News. Is that included? BBC America, is that included in the entertainment channel package, or is that an added thing? So, stuff like that I know that I watch, I would want to make sure I'm getting before I make a decision. Now, these are supposedly rolling out to customers as soon as this week. I have YouTube TV, and I have not seen any change in my ability to manage my plan all week long. And I've been checking because I wanted to know when it rolled out, when those would be available, but not for me yet. Maybe in the listening audience, you've seen this on your plan and might be able to share information with us. Now, all of these plans include the normal stuff. The unlimited DVR, unlimited should have an asterisk because, of course, stuff can go away, as we've discussed in the past, and some of the capabilities of the DVR are limited on certain networks. It also has the multi-view support and up to 6 household accounts. And when I said all of these channels, you get like the everything package with what you're paying for today, there are still add-ons, and there will still be add-ons that you can include on top of your basic channel plan. And that includes stuff like premium channels like HBO or HBO Max, or the 4K option, or NFL Sunday Ticket, things like that cost additional money beyond just the normal channel packages. Those aren't going away. They'll still be available. The prices will remain the same for all of these plans.
I love this, Richard. I get that it's a little bit confusing, and I do hope that by the time this fully launches, which is supposed to be this week, but even right now, I just went to double check, is there more information on the main YouTube TV site right now? And there's not. I hope that when you can order this, it will give you that full listing of channels, because there will be non-negotiables for people for sure.
Sure.
But the way they've got this broken down, I think makes a ton of sense. If all you really care about is sports and some of the other occasional stuff, then this sports plan is great. If you really are looking for sports and news, which might be more like my household, then that sports and news plan saves me $10 a month over a regular plan. If you don't care about any of those things and you're like, I don't care about sports and I really don't want any more focus on the news in my life right now for my own mental health, I just want the entertainment plan. That's I think these are really, really great options.
Right. Similar for me, the news, entertainment, and family is probably what I would go with, which would save me over $12 a month, which is a nice thing. And so I'm hoping that these come online soon, and we can find out the details about what is and isn't included here. I do think it's funny. We're getting closer and closer to the old model. That's kind of inevitable. I think if they add actually 10 different plans, it's going to be very confusing. So I'll be curious to see what those look like when they roll out. Now, something that did catch my attention here, Josh, and I don't know if you thought about this too, but this is in stark contrast to the way Sling manages things between Orange and Blue, which really has more to do with their licensing contracts.
Right.
So you could have sports, but be completely devoid of anything in the Fox world,
which also has a lot of sports.
Which has a lot of sports. Exactly. And so this is kind of the best of all worlds, regardless of who the provider is in those different categories.
Yeah. See, I feel like this is actually fairly different from the traditional cable TV model, because when I think about the traditional cable TV model, it was, here is your base package. It's a ton of stuff across the entire spectrum. It always included ESPN. And then there were other layers above that. And
right. It's always additive.
And this is very different. This is, maybe you don't need absolutely everything. So how about we just give you what you want? And like you even used at the top of the segment, the word bundle. And this feels different than bundles too, because when we think of bundles, we think of, oh, I get Disney Plus and Hulu. Whereas in this case, it's like, nah, you're just getting these few things that you care about instead of all of those other things. Like this feels the closest to what people have been saying that they've wanted forever. Like,
which is a la carte.
Exactly.
But a la carte at the line level is never going to happen.
Right. Never, ever, ever happen because no one wants to pay $25 a month just for ESPN. Right. Right. So I'm excited to see this. I hope that they give us really good tools for seeing what channels are available in each so that you can make your decision appropriately. Cool.
Yep.
Well, let's move on to some audio news. And when I told my family about this feature yesterday, they were all like, this is awesome. I'm going to use this a lot. So Spotify has a new feature that if you are, like, let's be honest, Richard, if you're listening to this show, you probably remember VH1. And when Engadget wrote up this post, I think they were reaching out to people like you and me who do remember VH1 because they described this feature as when you're listening to a song, you can be listening to it and get a similar experience to the show pop-up video that used to be on VH1. And it's not that far off. It's maybe a little bit less distracting because you can ignore it if you want. But the idea here is in the mobile app right now, if you are playing a song for a while, you've been able to scroll down, like past the artwork and stuff, and see lyrics. Now, if you scroll a little bit further down, there's a section called About the Song, and it shows information about the song, about the artist, and they're basically little cards, a couple of sentences worth of information that you can swipe left and right through to get more information about that stuff. And it's usually interesting stuff. It's probably using AI to summarize these things. And so that might set some people off, but it does give you links. If it's summarizing an article in The Guardian from an interview that they did with the artist, like you can click the link and it will take you to the actual article, which I think is the appropriate way to be summarizing things from other sources. And the other thing that I wondered was, how many artists will this support, right? Whenever I want to test a feature like this, I just start with Taylor Swift. Like Taylor Swift is going to have all of the new stuff, right? So of course there was a bunch of stuff for Taylor Swift. But then I started looking at some of these more like indie folk singers that I follow that have followings that are not in the millions of listeners. And there was plenty of information about them too. I'm really impressed by this. And I think I'm going to use this a lot just because it's like, that's the fun. I really love getting to learn more about the artist, what the songs mean. It's one of the reasons why I love live music so much, is getting to hear the artist talk about their music. And this is another way to find out more about the artist and the music right from my phone.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It kind of fills the gap for what we used to think of as liner notes on albums, where you'd have an enclosure or something on the jacket that was all this information about producing the album and stories about the artists and stuff like that. So this is kind of cool. With everything AI, you mentioned AI, and I'm one of those people that's not anti-AI so much as prove its value to me and prove that it's accurate enough for the case it's for the job it's doing, that it's the right tool. And I do wonder if this sort of thing, though fun and cool, is really worth the compute, meaning the cost of all that it takes to gather this information and support the infrastructure for it. Is this really, like, they're giving this to us supposedly for free, but the price is going to go up for Spotify again in the future, and this will be one of the things that's costing it money, just like everything else. Is it worth it? And I don't know. I'll be curious to see after the wow factor goes away. Do we find out about how much this is actually being used by people?
Right. Yeah. Those usability numbers would be really nice to see, and to compare it to how much it might cost. in terms of cost, it's not available to everybody. If you're a free user of Spotify, you don't get this feature, which I think says a little bit about what you're describing here, Richard. This isn't free by any means for them to build this capability. So this is currently in beta and only for premium users on iOS and Android, and only in the US, UK, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia. So check it out if you are a Spotify premium subscriber. All right, that's a whole lot of good news. Let's get into the final story of the week, and it's not a great one. If you've been a free YouTube Music subscriber, you're about to lose access to a feature that I think most people regularly use when they're listening to music, and that's looking at the lyrics to the song. YouTube Music appears to be getting rid of that feature for anybody who's on a free plan. People have started seeing messages that say you only have 5 views remaining. And I'm not even sure if that's like forever or for the month or for the day. Like, what is the time period we're talking about here?
Right.
So you're going to have to start paying for YouTube Music Premium to get unlimited access to all of the lyrics that you're looking for. Is that the end of the world? Not necessarily. Like, you can very easily Google, what are the lyrics for this song and get them very quickly. But it's really nice having them in the app, especially if there's synchronization of the lyrics and things like that, like I know Spotify has. So this looks like it's rolling out pretty broadly at this point. So if you really want your lyrics right inside of your app, well, you're going to have to pay up. YouTube Music Premium is $10.99 a month, which does make it cheaper than Spotify Premium, which is $13 a month. And frankly, I do wonder how many people are just paying $11 a month for YouTube Premium when for just a couple dollars more, YouTube Music Premium.
YouTube Music Premium, right.
For just a couple dollars more, you could get YouTube Premium, which means you've got the music service and almost no ads on YouTube. Like that's got to be the way to go, right, guys?
Yeah, this and this just kind of reinforces for me the frustration that I have that all I care about is the ad-free YouTube, and the difference here is just $3 between these services. I don't want the music. They value that at $11. Then just charge me the $3. I don't understand.
Right. I would gladly give them $3 to not have ads in YouTube.
Yeah,
but.
Like I just did to Amazon.
Right. And like, this is an example of the bundling we don't like.
Right. Exactly.
I don't need YouTube Music, but I do watch a lot of YouTube. So
yep, this is additive bundling.
Right. All right. Well, we will keep an eye on all of those areas, but that's it for our news this week. So, Richard, let's jump into what's going on in our entertainment centers.
Okay, let's do that. So, it's been 2 weeks for me and a bunch of stuff has happened. I alluded a few weeks ago that as our friend TJ over at the Home Tech Podcast has been complaining about his Sonos and getting rid of his Sonos, I bought some of his Sonos devices that he was shedding and used them to upgrade my old Play Ones with new Play Ones. Those are actually spelled differently for some reason because that's how Sonos differentiated between their definitions. But now I have the newer version of the Play Ones that are specifically designed for the new Sonos system. And I am finding from his troublesome devices that my whole system is much more reliable now that I got rid of my old speaker devices. They were the last remaining old speakers that I had on the system. So I reset those, and I'm going to be sending them to a friend of mine who is still using Sonos System 1. So win all the way around there. Thank you, TJ. Then as far as what I've been watching, a lot. So I'm up to date on Abbott Elementary. I've been catching up on the show Stumble that I talked about before. This is that comedy about a cheerleading team. Very funny, makes me laugh out loud. We finished watching the current season of Ugliest House in America. We also finished watching all the available Lakeside Retreat shorts. This is another one of those short program things. And I know I can hear you now. You're saying, but Richard, you don't like shorts. No, I don't like short vertical videos designed to watch on a phone because I don't watch video on my phone. I watch video on my TV. And HBO Max has a number of series of short form, meaning 5 to 15-minute videos that are about different like architectural topics. And this one specifically about lakeside homes. And it's just really nice introduction to these very, very cool homes, how they came to be and how their owners use them. So we watched all of those. I hope they're making more because I've enjoyed this a lot. Continue to watch a couple episodes of Two Broke Girls. And we started something new. We started and finished actually just last night, a 3-part Agatha Christie mystery on Netflix called Seven Dials. We like the Agatha Christie stuff. It's usually a lot of fun. This first episode, and I'll say episode, but it's really parts. It's split into 3 parts. Each one is just about an hour long. The first one didn't get me. So let me tell you, if you looked at this and you thought, yeah, I can't go any further, that was dumb. The second one and third one get progressively better. So it pays off at the end. I highly recommend this if you like Agatha Christie stuff. Don't use the first part as a judgment for the whole series because it's not fair. Stick with this one. Just every once in a while we watch 60 Minutes, and I feel older every time I say that. But in fact, this weekend, while the rest of the world was watching balls being thrown in the air and kicked sometimes, we were instead...
I don't think there's any of that in the Winter Olympics. Oh, you mean the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. Instead, we were watching I forget what they call it, but it's basically segments that they're rerunning on 60 Minutes. And one of the ones that they chose to rerun was an interview with Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood is the author of The Handmaid's Tale. And that in itself is a whole story and lots of drama behind her writing that and the rights that she did and didn't have for that. Really, she's an incredibly interesting woman and spry as anything at 83 or 84 or something like that. And just a really fantastic interview. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And I texted it to some of my friends that are really into her. And they reminded me that we're busy right now. But thank you. Because Super Bowl. So I continue to watch Starfleet Academy. I've been caught up on that. Wow. Episode 4 of Starfleet Academy. The first couple episodes, I said, this is good. It has potential. Episode 4 is probably the best Star Trek I have seen in years from the series. The episode was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. If this is the gauge for the series, if they can deliver something like that every once in a while, something of what I consider a best Star Trek episode amongst all of the canon, bravo. I hope to see more. So really looking forward to seeing what else they do this season. This season is going to be a total of 12 episodes, I believe.
Nice.
The HBO series from the Game of Thrones world, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, continues. I'm really enjoying this. It is short, 30-minute episodes. It's fun. Still ties into the drama and confusing history of all the different families and kings and so forth. And it's enjoyable, and I'm really having fun watching this. I binged a series on Netflix that I've been seeing. It's recommending it to me all the time. It's a gay coming of age story in college, and I just kept on blowing it off and saying, yeah. And I think over the weekend when I was traveling, the TV was like 15 years old, and I wanted to watch something on my tablet and found this, and it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. First season, it's 7 episodes or 8 episodes, and I think I watched it all in 2 nights. Then I've been watching a lot of the Olympics. I have it on constantly in my office during the day. I have it on as soon as I get up. I have it on in the evening. and I'm enjoying it, and I'm curious to hear your experiences with this, Josh. On the Apple TV device, I am having a number of issues with the app, specifically getting stuck in a couple places where it comes up and recommends, oh, here's what's up next. What do you want to watch? And I can't back out of that. I literally cannot get away from that menu short of closing the app and restarting it.
Wow.
So there's something going wrong on the app there. The other thing is that there's just so much. I don't know why, but finding the right thing to watch right now seems much harder than it used to be.
No, it's not. See, here's what you do.
Okay.
You open Peacock, and then
Yeah.
you scroll down to the part where it gives you the option of picking a sport, and you pick hockey,
and you just keep that
and
on.
you just keep that on. You just pick whatever game is on. It's not hard, Richard. So that's pretty much all I've done. Like the first day, there was some snowboard jump trick thing going on, and I'm like, that sounds cool. And there wasn't hockey on yet. So I watched that. And the rest of my watching has just been picking a hockey game and watching it. So I have not experienced what you're describing on. So far, I've watched on my Android TV box, or Google TV, I guess it's called, my iPad, and my, in a browser on my Windows PC. And
yeah,
I've had zero issues with anything.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I wish, like, I enjoy the multi-view every once in a while. And so I put that on. But even finding that, it's not easy because the icon for it doesn't look like it's a multi-view. There's just in the description that's already cut off, it says multi-view something. And so you have to read every single tile to figure out, is this the one that I want? And then just in terms of, all right, well, where's the primary coverage now? And I don't want the top gold stuff, because that's like a 6-up multi-view and you can't even really see anything that small. I want to just whatever the current active coverage is that they're highlighting, that's what I want. And that'll be on. And then the time of day segment will end, and it ends. And then what? Then my screensaver comes on, and I shouldn't have to. I just want it to stay on all day. I don't know why that's so hard. Anyway, so I've been a little bit frustrated by that. I think they did such a good job with this in the past, and for whatever reason, it seems more complicated now. Also, talking about sports, I did not watch the Super Bowl. I did, however, a couple days later, watch the halftime show that seems to have polarized everybody on this entire continent. On 2 continents. And I mean, I didn't understand it.
Nope.
But it was fun.
Yeah, it was an
creative.
entertaining halftime show.
I can see why there are some 60, 70-year-old men who are saying that was obscene. Apparently they never watched Solid Gold when they were young. I don't know.
Yeah. Or any other halftime show ever.
Right. I mean,
do we remember
gyrating is just a thing that happens when you perform and dance now.
Yeah.
Like, go to a Madonna concert 30 years ago, 40 years
basically,
ago.
any halftime show has had
just kills me.
Scantily clad people dancing in provocative ways. It's every show.
Yes, indeed. So it was. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally watched it to hear what everybody's talking about. Still, for some reason. And then finally, and this is going to be another polarizing one, I watched a video on YouTube on a channel called The Technology Connections. And Technology Connections is this guy who is all into kind of old and legacy tech. And he sits in front of this wall with all his retro products and tells you, for example, how a dishwasher works, down to the minute engineering and mathematics behind every little thing. How soap gets dispersed in a dish. I mean, if you really like diving into stuff and understanding the science behind it, it's really cool. He does the same thing about renewable energy technology and calls his video not polarizing at all. You are being misled about renewable energy technology. All right, a little bit clickbaity, but it's an hour and a half long, and it's amazing. And I will warn you, if you are opposed to putting money into renewable energy, the last half hour is probably going to piss you off quite a bit because he just goes off on the irresponsibility of not following the money and shows why it's economically viable. And it was fantastic. I saw multiple people referring to this on social media, and I thought, an hour and a half YouTube video? I just can't.
Right? That's a documentary.
I'm glad I did. It was so good. And then, Josh, you're not going to believe it. Well, you will, because you are looking at the same notes that I am. But I caught up on my podcasts. Something about a road trip gives you lots of time to listen to things.
Oh, that's what did it for you.
I caught up on, I was still just under 2 weeks behind when I started the weekend. And over the course of the weekend and the last few days, I got all caught up.
I'm amazed that you got that caught up from one road trip, unless that road trip was to Rio de Janeiro. Like, how did you get that?
I mean, I was traveling on my own. I wasn't like in a car with anyone, and I had a lot of time on my own. I was really there for just a couple events that took a few hours and otherwise had a whole weekend. So,
All right. Well, yeah. I'm glad to hear it. Let's keep that positive momentum.
I know, right? Okay, that was me. Josh, what's going on?
Not a ton. It's been, I don't know, a busy-ish week with a lot of like kids' activities and stuff like that. So no real project updates. The Plex and channel server continues to run strong. It's been great. Even in gaming, not much. A little bit of NHL and a little bit of Helldivers. Nothing new there. No new movies. In terms of TV, we don't let an episode of The Pit go unwatched for more than a few hours typically, so we are all caught up on The Pit. I'm still a little bit behind on Fallout because I pretty much only watched that on the treadmill. And I
restarted that.
Did you?
Yeah.
So what season are you on?
I just season 1.
Okay.
I'm going to try it again.
Okay.
I lost steam after the second episode last time. It's just
so did you start at the very beginning or episode 3? Okay.
Started at the beginning again.
Okay, cool. I've been trying to run outside. Like if I see sunlight, I'm like, screw it, I'm running outside. I need sunlight. It's February. I need sunlight. So not as many treadmill runs for watching Fallout for me. And I already talked about the Olympics. I've watched a lot of USA hockey. The men's tournament gets kicked off in just a couple of hours. Well, for the US team at least. And so I'll be watching as much of that as I possibly can. I forgot to even mention the Super Bowl until you brought it up because it was such a forgettable Super Bowl. Like, this was the most boring Super Bowl ever. At halftime, the score was 9-0 on 3 field goals. And at one point during the third quarter, I was like, I wonder if there's ever been a Super Bowl where no one scored a touchdown. And so I Googled it, and there hadn't been. And I'm like, please, like, let's at least make this boring Super Bowl historic. Let's have no one score any touchdowns. And they couldn't even do that, right? So it was such a boring Super Bowl, but hey, congratulations to Seattle and all of their fans, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully my team is in it next year. And as long as my team, the Detroit Lions, win it next year, I don't care how boring it is. I just want them to finally win a Super Bowl. So yeah, that's it on that. On books, I finished the book that I had been reading called 1 Second After. Man, I'm glad to be done with this book. Not that it's a bad book. It's a well-written book. It is certainly engaging and entertaining. It will keep you listening or page turning or however it is that you consume books, but it is so depressing. This was recommended to me by a listener of the show after I recommended the book Nuclear War, because this is about, hey, instead of nuclear war, what if someone detonates nuclear bombs in the atmosphere, which is an EMP, which fries all of our electronics? here's what that would look like. Please just nuke us. I would rather get nuked than deal with, like, that's how depressing this is.
Yeah.
Just end it all with nukes rather than EMPs. Yikes. It's an entertaining book. If you can deal with the super depressing stuff, then go and have a listen to this. It's a series. I'm not sure that I need to read the rest of the series, and I definitely don't need to when, we're battling seasonal affective disorder and everything else with our mental health. I'm going to need something a little bit cheerier for my next book, but
yeah, fair enough.
It was good. It was good.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, before we get out of here, one other little announcement. I did want to let you all know that I'm looking for a new job. I like to make sports analogies, and in the sports world, I'm a free agent now. So if you know of positions that are available for software engineering leadership, so like software engineering managers, directors of engineering, that sort of thing, send me a message. How would you do that? In a lot of different ways. I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky at Josh Pollard. The email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. So lots of different ways that you can get a hold of me that way.
Hey, Josh, do you have a LinkedIn?
I do have a LinkedIn. I could put a link to my LinkedIn profile too.
There you go.
That would make sense. I'll throw that in the show notes. For sure. Good call. If you want to get a hold of Richard, well, he's Richard Gunther on Mastodon and richardgunther.com on Blue Sky. You're not going to find him on X because he's a smarter person than me.
And you will. I just don't hang out there anymore. It's very, very stale.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 703. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye.